Hello, and thank you for watching this library research video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to find databases using the library's website. I'm going to talk to you about how to choose a topic. Then I'm going to show you how to search the databases for that topic. And finally, I'm going to take you through the steps of developing your topic using the research that you find in the databases. My name is Krista Bailey, and I'm your SJSU librarian for the area of psychology. If you ever have any questions for me, you can email me at krista.bailey@sjsu.edu. You also need to know the library's homepage is library.sjsu.edu. I also want you to know the address for the psychology research guide that I made for you. I've put together all the library resources that support psychology research in one place. The address is libguides.sjsu.edu/psychology. If you are watching this video, you probably have to write a literature review. So let's first start by talking about what a literature review is exactly. Simply put, it's just a summary of the research findings on a specific topic. Notice that I've bolded and underlined the word summary. It is important to remember that a literature review is your summary of the research that's been carried out. When writing a literature review, you are not trying to prove that variable A causes variable B. So in that sense, you are not running a research experiment yourself. What you are doing is locating research that's been done on a specific topic, then writing a paper that summarizes the research and its conclusions. You might also summarize the topic, how the topic was researched, and who was researched. So please don't make it harder than it already is. A literature review is not creative writing. Just remember that a literature review is the summary of the research findings or scholarly articles on a specific topic. The research articles that you need for a literature review can be found in scholarly databases. SJSU has access to hundreds of databases, and in most cases, a database focuses on a specific subject or discipline. For example, if you're interested in psychology research, then you're going to start with the PSYC100W database. PSYC100W is the largest database dedicated to collecting information about psychology research. There's a few more databases that keep track of psychology research, and it just depends on your topic as to whether or not you'll need to use those databases as well. For example, you might also end up searching the ScienceDirect database, which is a database focusing on science and medical research. There's also a Medline database, which has more of a medical science focus. You don't have to memorize these names. Just know that all of the relevant databases for psychology research are listed on the Psychology Subject Guide. On that guide, I have direct links to each of these databases. There's one thing you need to know about connecting to these databases. You must access them by clicking on one of the SJSU Library links. You can't go to Google and type in PSYC100W to find a link to the database. These databases are subscription-only databases, and you'll have to use one of our links to get connected to them. If you know the name of the database you're looking for, you can use the catalog search box to search for the database by name. We also have an Articles and Databases link with an A to Z list of all the databases that we have access to. You could go to that list and click on P to find the PSYC100W link. Or you can visit the Research Subject Guide that I made for you by finding the Subject Guide box on the library's homepage and use the drop-down menu to go to Psychology. Doing so will take you to my guide where I have all of these links in one place. Just remember that databases have a specific subject focus, so whenever you're doing research, you have to know which databases are dedicated to your topic. And if you're doing psychology research, then I suggest you start with PSYC100W, accessing it through one of our links. If you are off campus, you will need to sign in using your SJSU ID and password. When starting a literature review, picking a topic might be one of the hardest steps in the process. Finding the right topic for a literature research review does take some time. Sometimes your topic is going to be too narrow and there's not going to be enough research out there to find and write a literature review. Or your topic might be too broad and you're going to have to narrow it down and focus it. My advice is to start with a broad topic, and then you're going to use the research articles that you find to help narrow and focus your topic. By narrowing and focusing, I mean you're going to be looking for measurable and specific factors, or measurable and specific elements within your topic that are being studied. Then you'll find all the research that you can that's been done on those specific elements, and you'll start summarizing that information. So in psychology research, the main topic is a status, event, condition, or phenomenon. For example, the topic of divorce might be your main topic, but then you have to start looking at what the research has focused on within this topic. In psychology research, the focus within the main topic might be a specific population or demographic. That's a specific group of people who are dealing with the main topic or issue. The topic might focus on a specific status or a specific condition. Or the research might be looking at correlations or relationships between different factors within your topic. Right now, you don't need to worry about the elements of your topic. All you need to do is first decide on your main topic for the literature review. And I'm going to show you how to use the database to start identifying the different elements that have been studied within your main topic. So keep that in mind. As you are researching your topic for a literature review, you're eventually going to find specific elements to focus on. And you've got to use the database to do that. You don't want to spend too much time in your head trying to come up with a great sounding topic without knowing for sure that the topic is something that's been studied. That's why I want you to take your main idea, preferably a broad idea, and plug it into the database to see what's been studied within your topic. Then you can start focusing on what specific elements you want to look at within your literature review. When you connect to PSYC100W, you'll see this main search screen. I suggest to always start with a simple keyword search when you are deciding on a topic for a literature review. One of the most important things to know and never forget is that the database has its own terminology, and that the database isn't necessarily going to figure out what you're looking for. You have to do some work to learn what terms the database uses for your topic. Sometimes it's going to be very clear, and sometimes it's not. So if we were searching about the issue of divorce, PSYC100W uses the term divorce to describe the topic of divorce, and every research article in PSYC100W should be tagged with the term divorce. But other times it's not going to be so clear. For example, let's say you were doing a literature review on the impact of alcohol abuse on college students' grades. You'll soon notice that the topic of grades is not called grades in PSYC100W, it's called academic achievement or academic performance. It's very important to know what terms the database uses for your topic because everything in PSYC100W is organized around its own terminology. So anything focusing on academic achievement or academic performance are going to be tagged with those specific terms, which is why you've got to learn the terms the database uses for your topic and then run a search with those terms. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to use the database to figure that out. As I said, start with a broad idea and then focus it based on the research that you find. Let's just use this example, the benefits of therapy pets. That's pretty broad, and the first thing I need to figure out is how does the database talk about that topic of therapy pets? Whenever you're running a search in PSYC100W, try to keep it limited to one concept per box. You're not going to type your whole research question or your whole statement into one search box. The database just doesn't work like that. It's not like you're running a Google search. It works best by searching for specific terms or concepts. So in this case, our main topic is therapy pet, and I'm going to search for that topic first. Please notice that I didn't say one word per box. Clearly, therapy pet is 2 words, but it's one topic. So we've got to figure out how does the database talk about the topic of a therapy pet. Later, we can use additional terms to focus our topic on a specific aspect of therapy pets. But the most important thing to do first is to identify the specific term or terms that the database uses for our main topic. Keep in mind that most of the material in PSYC100W is already scholarly peer-reviewed, but you're going to want to make sure that you always limit your results to scholarly peer-reviewed journals when doing literature reviews. After entering your topic and clicking search, you'll see this search results screen. Now let me break this down for you, and I'll show you the process I go through every time I run a search. The first thing I look at is the number of search results. In this case, there's only 16. Now you're not going to have an emotional reaction to that number. In fact, there's no magic number of results that you're aiming for. Eventually, you'll want a list of results that is focused and contains enough items that you can comfortably scan to see whether you're on the right track. But at first, the number of results could be really low, or extend into hundreds of thousands. So right now, think of that number as an indicator. If it's very, very low, you've got to double check your spelling. Please know that the database is not very forgiving with misspellings. If you misspell something, the database might just say no results found. If your spelling is correct, then you can check to see if maybe you crammed too many terms into the search box. Maybe it got a little overwhelmed and confused by the number of terms you entered. But in this case, Therapy Pet is a simple search and it has a very low number of results. That tells me that something is off, because this idea of Therapy Pet isn't something that's obscure or rare. It's a well-known topic, and I'm pretty sure there are more than 16 research articles on this topic. I spelled Therapy Pet correctly, so my guess is the problem has to do with the terms I'm using. The database probably uses a different set of terms for that idea of Therapy Pet, and I've got to figure out what term that is. We'll talk about these specific terms in just a second, but there's a few other things you should check first. In this red box, you'll see the publication date range. That's the date range of the articles in your results list. So right now in this list of 16, I'm looking at articles from 2000 to 2016. Please keep in mind that old stuff isn't necessarily bad stuff, but sometimes you're going to have an assignment that says you have to use articles within a certain time frame, like the last 6 years or the last 10 years. This box is where you can specify the date range of articles that you want to see. Also, if you forget to use the scholarly peer-reviewed journal filter on the first page, you can always do it here by clicking this box. One thing I want you to notice about this results list is that the first article is at the top because it's the most recently published. So right now, number 1 isn't any better than number 16. Please don't get into the habit of thinking that whatever's on the first page of results is the best stuff. The only reason it's there is because the most recently published. Don't assign some arbitrary value to the number 1 result. This isn't like a Google search where the first page of results is the most relevant. With that in mind, let's take a closer look at our results. For the first article on the list, the title is Sensory Stimulation for Persons with Dementia. Under the title is the author's name and the citation information, including the date and the journal that published it. That's all important information, but you need to look at the subjects field on the third line. PSYC100W will have a subject line that shows the official vocabulary of the database that has been tagged to this article. In other words, this is the official terminology of the database for all topics that are assigned to this article. So for this article, the subjects covered are dementia, pharmacology, quality of life, sensory integration. Don't panic, you don't have to scan every subject line for every article in your list. The database will do that for you. You'll use filters to help you narrow and focus your search results. Whenever you have more than 10 or 15 articles, you'll see that on the left side there's going to be a filter called Subject Major Heading. You're going to have to scroll down a little bit to see it. The database scanned everything that's in your results list and it looked at all of the subject terms that were tagged to all of those articles. It creates a list of those subject terms here under Subject Major Heading. These are the terms that identify the major subject or focus of each of those articles. At first, you're going to see the top 6 most reoccurring subject terms. You'll need to click on Show More, and a new window will pop up that shows you all the popular subject terms that are showing up in your list of results. It's important that you just don't look at those first 6. Always remember to click on the Show More link so you can get to this window. Now when you're looking at the subject major heading terms, look to see if there's a match for your topic or a different way of addressing your topic. In this example, I did a search for Therapy Pet, but I don't see it in this list. But I do see something that is a synonym for it. It's the same idea, but just a different term. Instead of Therapy Pet, this list has Animal-Assisted Therapy. This tells me that the official term for Therapy Pet is Animal-Assisted Therapy, and every research article on this topic will have been tagged with Animal-Assisted Therapy. What I need to do now is a new search, but this time instead of Therapy Pet, I'm going to change it to Animal-Assisted Therapy. This will help me make sure that I capture everything in PSYC100W that's been tagged with this subject. Once you have identified the official terminology of the database, like Animal-Assisted Therapy, then you can click on the drop-down menu next to the search box and select the option for Major Word in the subject heading. This forces the database to look for a term or phrase Animal-Assisted Therapy in the subject line for all of the articles in the database. You'll see here that the results list went from 16 to 443. That's 443 articles where animal-assisted therapy shows up in the article's subject terms. Now I have a new pool to work with, and within these 443 articles, I can start focusing on something very specific within the topic of animal-assisted therapy. With this new list, I'll go through those same steps again. Look at the number of results I have, 443. I look at my date range. In this case, we have 1988 to 2017. In most cases, a literature review should try to focus on current research, so it might be a good idea to set this date range to something like the past 10 years or so. Now I can start to identify some specific topics or specific factors within animal-assisted therapy to focus my literature review on. I'll do the same steps again. I'll scroll down to the subject major heading filter, and I'm going to click on that Show More link again. Now I have a new list of terms. These are all the popular terms that are showing up within articles that have been tagged with animal-assisted therapy. You can use this as a guide to learn more about different areas of research that have been done within your main topic. So, within this animal-assisted therapy results list, there's research on horses, autism spectrum disorders, pets, dementia, intervention, psychotherapy, mental disorders, and much more. Remember, your literature review isn't going to cover all of those things, but you want to find some specific topics or issues within animal-assisted therapy to dedicate a literature review to. I like to look for connections or trends in these terms. In this case, I'm going to look at animal-assisted therapy as it relates to dementia and nursing homes. Those two things have something in common. Typically, elderly people live in nursing homes, and elderly people are typically the population that is affected by dementia. This clues me in on the fact that there's possibly some research focused on animal-assisted therapy in nursing homes with people who have dementia. You can start exploring your topic by clicking on the boxes next to the terms and then clicking on Update. A new results list will appear, and your results will now include only articles dealing with the filters that you've selected. So in this case, I'm working with animal-assisted therapy, dementia, and nursing homes. You'll notice that when you start adding filters, the database keeps track of your filters in the current search summary here on the left. With this specific search, I'm now down to 37 articles dedicated to animal-assisted therapy, dementia, and nursing homes. Let's say I scan these results and decide that I don't want to narrow it to dementia. No problem. I can just come over here to the current search summary and X out the dementia filter. The results will then refresh to remove that limiter. But right now I have 37 results that are dedicated to animal-assisted therapy, dementia, and nursing homes. That's a nice specific focus for a literature review. And I'll need to look through those 37 articles to see if there's enough for me to build a collection of articles for a literature review. This is where I'll slow down and take time to start going through each article to see if I'm on the right track. I'll need to determine if this is a topic that I want to pursue for a literature review. So what you'll have to do is actually click on the article's title, and you'll get to the article's page. Every article in PsycInfo has a page like this. Here's the title, the authors, and the citation information. But make sure you check out the abstract. The abstract tells you who was studied, what was studied, how it was studied, and the findings and conclusions. That's the real summary of the article. That's what you want to base your decision on whether or not to pursue this article. Never make any judgments based on the title of the article until you look at the abstract. There's some other very helpful things on this page. If you find an article that fits your topic well, check to see what subject terms were tagged to that article. This could provide you with some other search terms to use. Also know that every article's page will have a Cite button on the right side. You can click on that button and pull up the suggested APA citation. Now don't ever just copy and paste the citation into your reference page. You'll need to make sure that it's correct. Sometimes there are errors with capitalization in the article's title and in the journal's title. Sometimes the database tries to capitalize everything, and that's wrong. The APA rule states that the only thing that should be capitalized is the first letter of the first word of the title and the first letter of the first word of the subtitle. So in this example, the only things that should be capitalized would be the A in animal-assisted intervention and the E in effects, which is the first letter of the first word of the subtitle. The name of the journal is always capitalized. As you're going through a results list and you find useful articles, you're going to be able to add them to a folder. That's really the only way for you to save articles and come back to them later. So if you don't have a database account, you're going to have to create one and then find the Add to Folder icon that's next to each article. Once you're signed into your database account, anything you add to the folder will be there until you delete it. If you don't have a database account yet, look at the very top of the screen for the Sign In link. Click on that link and follow the prompt to create a new account. This will give you a folder that you can use to save your articles. So going back to our literature review topic, we've come a long way since searching for therapy pets. Keep in mind that this process can take a lot of time. You're not likely to develop your topic and find all of your articles in just one sitting. Eventually, though, you'll be able to identify a main topic and focus on the various subtopics that have been researched. In this case, we have animal-assisted therapy, and we found some various subtopics such as dementia, autism, depression, horses, and dogs. A literature review is not going to cover all of the subtopics that you identify. Please don't be overwhelmed and think that you have to cover all the subtopics. As you learn more about your topic, you will adjust your focus to reflect the things you're finding. Remember how we started with the very broad topic, the idea of benefits of therapy pets? Then we learned that the right term to use was animal-assisted therapy. After reviewing what was available, we could focus our topic to be something like animal-assisted therapy as an intervention in dementia disorders. Just remember that it can take some time to get through this process. One last thing to know is that as you're going through the database, some of the articles are going to be immediately available, and you'll see this PDF icon. You can click on that icon and you'll see a copy of the research article. If you don't see that PDF icon, you will see a Find It button. You've got to click on the Find It button to see if the PDF of the article is in one of our other databases. When you click on it, a new window will open up and show you the library's catalog. If the article is in another of our databases, there will be a link that you can click and you should be taken right to the article. However, if you click on the Find It button and it does not directly take you to another database, then you are going to need to order it through Interlibrary Loan, a service which we call Iliad. Ordering an article can take anywhere from a few hours to a few days, so don't wait to get those orders in if necessary. If you have any problems with your research, you can always email me. That's all for this video. I just wanted to give you the overview of the database research process. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to working with you.